Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan going to talk about the knee and knee pain. Talked about the shoulder, talked about the back, but now it's time to talk about the knee. And I can talk about this all day long. I just need a different viewpoint to kind of see things so that way I can help you solve your own problem because I think that's really what it comes down to. For us powerlifters, those that are enthusiasts in the strength training, we want to be able to learn how to fix ourselves because a lot of the time, unless you have the not a lot of us have the resources to go and see a specialist. But if you do have the resources, by all means you should go, and if you have the resources for it. But I was watching some Kelly Starret videos, trying to put together this video together, talking about knee pain, and I really didn't have anything to say before watching these videos. These videos I've watched a long time ago. They're kind of old. I'll put some links in the description in case you want to know kind of how I'm formulating my thoughts. Keep in mind I'm also integrating a lot of my experience working with people along with my certifications, NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, PES, and CES, advanced certifications. But let's get into the talk and talk about what causes knee pain or how you should solve for knee pain. Because, as I was thinking about this, it's kind of like, okay, how do you fix this? How do you fix someone's knee problem, or how do you make the pain go away? Now, making the pain go away is not necessarily the actual way you actually solve the problem. The knee pain, usually, if you just roll out your quads or you stretch them out, it might reduce the pain, but that doesn't really actually solve the problem because a lot of the time the problem is at a different spot, meaning that it doesn't solve the root cause because the problem will come up again. And what I mean by that is that the knee is a pretty robust joint. It's a very strong joint. It's just the big bones of the femur, the big bone of the femur and the lower leg connect to provide this robust hinge joint. When you think about a door, how many times can you close and open a door before the door falls off, or before it starts to rust? Well, as long as you open and close it in the way it's supposed to be closed, and you don't try to hang on the door from the top, you're not going to really cause any problems. And the door will open and close pretty much forever. And one way to look at this is the hinges are going to stay alive, and that's basically what the knee joint is. Now, the problem is that we're not a door. We're not a hinge. We're not just a door because we have two other joints. We have the hip, and then we have the ankle. Now you have to imagine these two parts of the body that connect to work in conjunction with the knee. And when your ankle is not able to do what it's supposed to with proper ankle dorsiflexion, the knee may have to give up what the ankle can't do, causing the knee to not hinge but sort of either adduct, go into a valgus position where the knee kind of goes in over the ankle, or just kind of move in a way that it's not designed, or move in a way that's less efficient or safe. Another way of looking at this too is that in the hip, if the hip can't do its job and you're having some tightness in the hip, like you don't have internal rotation or you don't have external rotation, your knee is going to have to make up the difference somewhere. And that's kind of how I wanted to start my talk, is to realize that the knee is the joint that we're having a problem with. Typically quadricep tendonitis, maybe patella tendon issues, maybe you have pain behind the knee. And without necessarily knowing exactly what's going on or having a physical therapist or high level ortho talk to you or talk to them, you kind of have to figure out what makes it worse and what makes it better. And that's sort of how you start. The one thing you want to focus on when you squat is you want to make sure the knee goes over the toes or stays within the middle toes, or even towards the pinky toe when you're squatting. You want to keep a neutral foot so the foot is pointing straight, and that will minimize a lot of your issues when it comes to squatting. And then the other problem is when you force depth. This is what the biggest problem is. If you don't have good ankle flexibility, you're going to have to give up some good mechanics in the knee. And it's kind of hard to really explain all the nitty and gritty, but it's kind of more of just my understanding, is that when the ankle doesn't have proper dorsiflexion, the knee is going to have to flex more forward, and your heel is going to come off the ground, or you're going to have a lot more pressure on the front of the toes. It's going to cause a lot of shearing in the knee, lots of excessive usage of the quads, and you're going to get overuse. Now, The things in those videos I talked about in the links, in case you want to look at them, Kelly Starret talks about overtension and tissue quality. So those are the things you want to solve for. So simply rolling out the quads can help, and stretching it out can help. You just think about the knee joint, think about all the muscles that cross the knee, and see if you can sort of loosen those areas, and see if you can fix your knee problem or knee pain by simply just kind of tackling all the muscles underneath, around the knee. So it's the quad, the supra Patella pouch, which K Star talks about. Then there's the calf, the high calf, just below just on the high part right behind the knee, rolling it out with a lacrosse ball, allowing the knee to move really basically better, have more room to move, so that the ligaments don't have to take up the slack and have your muscles do it instead. So that's one solution. The other solution, or something you can do in combination, is your ankle. More often than not, the biggest problem most people is the ankle. It's probably your biggest fault when it comes to knee problems. I'm not saying this for everybody, you got to keep in mind, but I'm just, my bias as of right now, kind of thinking this process as I was driving to work today, is that the ankle is a very stiff joint. It's a load-bearing joint. I'm standing here at my desk, standing desk, and I'm loading my 207 pound body on my feet, on my ankles. It is a stiff joint. When it gets tight, it is tight, and it's super rigid. It's not designed to change flexibility very quickly, and it turns into a rock. It turns into a almost like a cast, if you want to look at it. And so it's almost like that the knee with the ankle is almost difficult to force. You actually have to spend the time to mobilize it. There are some exercises you can do to actually kind of force the range of motion. But like, for example, when you do sumo deadlifts, or you do super wide squats, or you do goblet squats, you can force the hip to do stuff because the muscles around there are bigger, and they're designed to have sort of a more malleability than in the ankle, because the ankle is purely and totally weight bearing. Or the calf, I should say. Well, basically the whole joint structure. So you think about this for a moment, you combine all these things together. Where is your problem? And the problem is going to be sort of up to you to decide, and it's going to take some time. And this is kind of where the challenge lies. If you're continually getting knee problems, it means you need to back off. And just kind of what I've been doing to kind of make progress in my squat is to cut the volume. Because I've gotten really strong in my squat, and I've made a lot of great progress, my joint ability, I guess, or my joint mechanics have not gotten to a point where I am moving well enough to satisfy a good motor pattern. So my knee, I'm sacrificing a lot of knee mechanics, and it's not like, oh, I'm not pushing my knees out enough, or I don't have enough ankle flexibility, or my hip isn't activating enough, or my glutes are weak, or my hip flexors are weak, or my adductors are weak. It's really more that there's a system of problems, basically all of the above I just mentioned, that are not working in unison in the way that is effective for the knee to function well. So in that case, the knee is having to take more of a beating. So that's kind of what you want to look at. And I know that a lot of this sounds very conceptual, and that's kind of how I want you to look at it, is that if your knee really bothers you, you really have to be creative with what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And that means, just to kind of give you an idea what I mean by being creative, that means not squatting to full depth, right? If you do squat to full depth, squat with a lighter weight, squat higher, maybe above parallel. I know that sounds bad, but squat above parallel or for certain weights. Maybe squat on a box and actually sit down for box squats. Maybe use a box and use the box to guide how low you go for a touch. You can, what else can you do? You can change your width. You can go wider. You can go narrower. Find a way where you have pain-free range of motion. And you want to push that range of motion and make it stronger, because that's actually what's going to have the greatest effect on your mobility and flexibility, is actually being able to activate the muscles, not just stretch the muscles. Because a lot of time we want a lot of mobility, but the problem with mobility, with doing like distraction drills with the band and stretching our quads and rolling our muscles, is that they just deactivate the muscle. They help relax the muscle so it can move, but you haven't sent the brain, or you haven't taught the free muscles, or the muscles of opposing of the tight muscles, to activate appropriately. And that in itself is not going to happen in a single day. I want to get into more specifics of things, and if you do have a knee problem, leave a comment below, and I can sort of kind of direct this in a better way for my next video, my second knee video, because I'll do two videos about this. But the thing is that I do apologize if I haven't answered any of your comments right away. my week is busy, so what I'm going to do right now after I make this video, I'm going to answer all the comments and answer some of your questions. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to continue with the subject, leave a comment below. Specify your knee issue, and then I can kind of help point you the right direction. If you really want to nerd out on this and you really want to understand what's going on and get a better concept for things, watch the videos I've linked in the description from MobilityWOD. Again, very high level conceptual stuff, whereas it's again, it's not, because the thing that, again, just in closing, a lot of people who have a problem with their knee, back, shoulders, they want to blame one thing, or they want to blame two things, or they want to blame three things. They want to say, oh, it's because I did this. It's a lot more complicated than that. You can't just simplify it that much. You can simplify it for maybe a single person, but that's the reason why I have to be very broad. So if you can answer a comment, if you leave a comment below, I'm going to be able to sort of direct this in a better way. So anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video.